Hey all, good morning and thank you for joining. So let's start with today's session. So this is the first session on Azure DevOps. Okay, let me share my screen and let me start with the session. There are a few prerequisites which I want you guys to do it before we start the session. That is sign in to Azure DevOps. Okay, so the first thing is guys sign in to Azure DevOps because what happens, the agent pool, the Azure pipeline agent pool, it takes time. Like Microsoft, they give you the access wherein you can start running all your build and release. So that takes time, that is time consuming. So initially let's do that first. So the first thing is first go into dev.azure.com. That is a website where you have to go, dev.azure.com. Let me share the link in the group itself. Okay, when you go in this, it will open a sign in page. Okay, just sign in over here. There's an option sign in Azure DevOps. Okay, click over here. It's not mandatory that you need to have an Outlook or a Microsoft account, not required. Even your Gmail ID will work. I'll be using my Gmail ID itself. This is the ID I'll be using, rohitkumar.singh0510@gmail. This is what I'll be using. And make sure whatever email ID you're using in future when we sign into Azure Cloud, that is portal.azure.com, use the same email ID over there also. Okay, so that is something we'll talk about later. For now, this is important. Put in your password, whatever password you want to put. It's not your Gmail password, guys. You don't have to put your Gmail password over here. This is you're setting up an account, Azure DevOps account, which you're setting up. So you can put whatever password you want. Sign in. Yes. Okay, it's very easy, very straightforward, nothing fancy over here. Now this is the option, get started with Azure DevOps. As soon as I click on continue, if I click on continue, it will take me back to this screen. So in my case, I'm having multiple projects. That is the reason you're able to see all this. In your case, when I click on continue, I'll not be clicking continue because this is my personal ID. So if I click on continue, I'll get to this screen wherein this is my organization name. You can set up your own organization name. So it will take the organization name from here. It will mark this rohit.kumar.singh as my organization name. Okay. So you will have something called at the left hand side, you'll have your organization name and you will not have any projects inside it. Okay. So come till this part, only till this part and leave it. Okay. So when we start working on Azure DevOps, when we start creating the project initially, I'll show you what needs to be done next. So the first thing, just sign into Azure DevOps and leave it till here. When you click on continue, after that your DevOps sign in will be done and you can leave it over here. One thing. The other important part which you have to do after this is there is a form which you need to fill in. This is Azure DevOps parallelism request form. Okay, so you need to fill in this form and you need to put your organization name. So your name, your email address by using which you have signed in. Your organization name is nothing but this part, what they are asking for. This part, what they are asking. Are you requesting a parallelism increase to public or private project? Select private over here. Okay, and submit this one. Not public. Never use public. If you use public, it may take more time for giving you the required access. Fill in the form. Please consider that it could take 2 to 3 business days. This request is going in to Azure Microsoft, guys. So this is not, you're sending this request to me. It's not to me. This is going to Microsoft and they will approve your request. And once they approve it, then you will be able to run your pipelines. All your pipeline execution happens on a self-hosted agent pool or a Microsoft hosted agent pool. So this will happen only, you will be able to execute only because if you have this access given by Microsoft. So these two things, make sure you do it at the very beginning because it takes sometimes it takes around 3-4 days also. So till the time we reach to that part wherein we start running our pipelines, you have all this thing ready beforehand. Okay, let me share this link as well. Yeah, I'll do that. Sure. Share this link, because this is the first time I started doing this at the very first session, because when we reach to the section wherein we are running my ARM template task, at that time many of the students are facing that they are not getting the approval, they are not able to run the pipelines, they're getting errors. So in order to avoid all this, it's better to be prepared beforehand. Okay, two things as I said: sign in to Azure DevOps first, use your Gmail account only, and use the same email ID even to log in on Azure Cloud. I'll show you how to sign in on Azure Cloud. Second, make sure you fill in the form after sign in and send the request to Azure DevOps so that they can approve it. Okay, that's it from the prerequisite. Let's go back. Okay, we're not starting with Azure DevOps initially. We'll start with something called what is DevOps. We need to understand what is DevOps before we jump on directly and start learning Azure DevOps. Definitely we'll be spending most of our time on Azure DevOps portal, wherein we'll be setting up release pipelines, build, release, repository, and many things will be doing. Okay, but before we jump on, there are few prerequisite, I would say, that you need to understand from where this DevOps things came in picture. Okay, we need to understand why DevOps, what we were doing before DevOps. That is something we need to understand. And if I ask you what is DevOps, definitely some of you will say like development, operation team, collaborating, and things like that. Okay, so that is right. I'm not denying on that. But before we go and jump into DevOps, let's see what was there before DevOps. How the software development was happening. How the support team were interacting with development team. What made, like, what has changed drastically that everyone started talking in the last 5 years? Everyone started talking about DevOps. Even the developers, they are moving into DevOps. What exactly this DevOps is, let's understand. So everyone knows waterfall model, correct? So it's a software development model approach what we had previously. So how the development was happening, that was using waterfall model. What was happening in waterfall model? If you say, it's a straight top to down approach, wherein each phase was highly dependent on the previous phase. Now, what do I mean by highly dependent? Like when the requirement gathering stage is running right now, so no other stage is going in parallel. The requirement, once the requirement is done, then they all start building the design. Once the design is done, they all start implementation, then the verification, then the maintaining, then the thing gets handed over to the operation team to go and support. That was the nature what we used to do previously. That is something we used to do previously. Now it was smooth, it was straightforward, it was simple, so no issues. When the issues comes in, when it's a large project you're working on. When I say large project, I'm talking about a big website. Let's take an example of a shopping website like Amazon.com. So it's not in a very initial stage of your development you'll understand everything, that I want to add this, I want to have this product page, I want to have this child product page, I want to have this grocery page also, I want to add Amazon Pay also, I want to add Audible also. At the initial stage, even Amazon wouldn't have like imagined that all this thing they will be adding in future. Okay, so it's quite a big website which I'm talking about. So such website cannot be designed using a waterfall model. Why? I'll tell you the reason. Because in waterfall model, the main issue was changes. If initially whatever requirement the client has given, the people start working on that requirement itself. And if you add something else, if there is something new feature you want to add, then it becomes very difficult for the team, the development team, to incorporate those changes. That was the major issue in waterfall model. That one issue. The second issue, bug fix. If there's any issue while development, and if you found that there's a bug in between, so incorporating those changes, last minute changes, again it was difficult. Okay, because of this reason, the time, like if you have a project completion time of 6 months, it used to take 8 months, 1 year. And even after that one year of time, 1 year down the line, you will not have sufficient quality product which you're deploying. Okay, that was a major no quality product. Plus, incorporating changes, additional changes was very difficult. And like suppose if there's a requirement phase which is running, which is going on right now, all other departments are sitting idle. They have nothing to do because the requirement is still going on. They cannot design, they cannot implement, they cannot maintain, they cannot verify. That was the major drawback in waterfall model. And till last 2 decades, we were using waterfall model, guys. Okay, this has to change. The software development was a messed up world. Okay, no one was sure what was happening with this waterfall model approach. This was working perfectly if you are a small team, small bunch of people, smaller project. This is fine, you can go with waterfall model. But what about mid-scale, large-scale project? Definitely waterfall model was not the right approach for your software development. Then came in picture agile methodology. Agile is nothing new, guys. Agile is very old method what is there in the market. So nowadays we use Agile, Scrum, and many others we use. So Agile is not new. Agile was there since very beginning. Okay. Now what exactly is Agile is? Now the Agile is very similar to waterfall model. Very similar. Agile will have all these stages: requirement, design, implementation, verification, maintenance. Agile will have all these stages. The only difference the Agile does now is Agile started doing things in iterations. Okay, Agile started building things in small modules. Agile started picking up small modules, small important modules first, and started building the entire thing. Okay, so how exactly Agile started doing? So this requirement, design, implementation, verification, and maintenance. This is the same thing what even Agile used to do. The only difference is it started reaching out to client at each iteration now. The iteration in Agile could be of 2 weeks, the minimum, and the maximum could go for 8 weeks. Agile is very much used with larger projects. Okay, so what people started doing, they started reaching out, like they started picking up, they divided the complete requirement into small modules. Like if I'm talking about shopping website, let's divide the shopping website into small modules like designing shopping cart, designing the payment page, designing the child product page, designing the grocery page. So we started defining things into small modules. Now picking up this small module, we started building it. Okay, and if we have any issues, if we are stuck anywhere, we can easily reach out to client and gather those information. That is what Agile did. What Agile did, it break the waterfall model loop into iterations. That is the only thing Agile did different. Okay, now if I read through this Agile methodology, Agile method is an iterative based software development approach where software project was broken down into various iterations. Each iteration, this line, has phases like waterfall model, such as requirement gathering, design, development, testing, maintenance. The duration of each iteration is generally 2 to 8 weeks. That is what Agile did. So what is the benefit of breaking things into? Now, unlike waterfall model wherein you're asking the client to give all the requirement at once, you're giving sufficient time to client, you're reaching out to client in each iteration asking, this is what we're designing now, please tell me what will be the right requirement, please tell me if this is and then you are reaching out to client very frequently when you're designing, when you're doing a beta deployment, you're handing over to the client stating, this is what we have developed, please give your feedback if this is right. So this was a better way of development which we came up. Okay, now this has changed the whole paradigm of software development. This Agile methodology, we are still using it. This is one of the widely used methodology in the market right now. So we are still using it. This has changed completely. Now what is Agile? So Agile What Agile does, as I said, a company releases the application with some high priority features in the first iteration. So just let me give an example. Like if initially when a client gives you a requirement, he himself is not sure what exactly they are looking for, what they want to develop, what they want to build. They half cooked information they will give it to you, and based on that half cooked information they will expect you to develop something for them. That is what the expectation would be in the half cooked information. So in waterfall model, that was the main issue. When you were taking the requirement, you already have a half cooked information from the client, and if you start building on top of it, if the client is looking to build an elephant, you're building a giraffe for them. That was the thing what we had previously. Now Agile has changed complete paradigm. Like if they say I want to build an elephant, then first you will start building the trunk. You will build the trunk, you'll take the requirement of trunk, how big the trunk should be, what should be the length of the trunk, what should be the color of the trunk. And when you create that trunk and when you present the trunk in front of the client, then they can give you information. Yeah, this looks good. If you can change the width, if you can change the length, you can change the direction and all this additional information they can give you, additional feedback they can give you. Then you can go back, you can work on that feedback, and you can present that trunk again back to the client. Now the client will say, yeah, this is something I was looking for. This is what has changed from waterfall to Agile. The feedback loop which was missing, which has changed the whole paradigm. Now previously in waterfall model, we used to develop the entire application, then we present to the client, then the client says, no, this is something I was not looking for. You have built something else. I want a fat animal, and you're building something slim, trim, and tall animal. This is not I was looking for. Then you go back, the whole team comes back. Then again the requirement, the design. It's time consuming. Okay, that was completely time consuming. Now that is what Agile has changed. What used to happen in Agile? The end user or the customer gives you the feedback about the performance of the application. Then it's a continuous feedback loop which has started. Then you make the necessary changes into the application with some new features, and the application is again released in the market in the second iteration. Okay, so that is what has happened in Agile. The continuous feedback loop. Again, the development team, they make their changes and they come back whenever it's required. We repeat the entire procedure until we have the desired software quality. Okay, so this entire process was repeated when we at the end we are delivering a quality software product. That is what has happened in Agile process. Okay, this is how the Agile process look like, guys. Planning, designing, testing, build, acceptance, then we deploy. This is what Agile was. This is what Agile, this was completely Agile has made. The whole thing has changed, and Agile has make sure that the software development is on the right track. Okay, Agile, when I say Agile is not just one single methodology. It's a complete, very popular, and it has multiple methodology inside it. So Agile is considered as a big umbrella. Inside Agile, there are multiple other multiple other methodologies such as Scrum, very well known. Voice is not audible. You guys cannot hear me. You're audible. Okay, great. Okay, I was talking about Agile is a big umbrella. Inside Agile, you have multiple other process, multiple other methodology which has been derived out from Agile to make things more easy, to make things more to make things more smooth. So one of the well-known, apart from Agile, well-known methodology which we are using currently is Scrum. Everyone over here, even though if you're working as a DevOps engineer or working as a developer or QA tester, you might have come across this word Scrum. Scrum is nothing but it's again a software development methodology which has been derived out of Agile. Okay, now one important thing, why exactly I'm talking about Agile, Scrum, waterfall model and all. So this is basically if you want to work as a DevOps engineer, either you'll be working in a Scrum project or you will be working in an Agile project. So having basic understanding what exactly is Agile, what exactly is Scrum, and few, because we are not deep diving, let me tell you very frankly, I'm not deep diving because this is not the primary role of a DevOps engineer. If you want to be a Scrum master in future, you can definitely go and deep dive into these topics. The only focus area is just to understand the terminology, what exactly these are, why do we use it, and from where in the world the DevOps came in. Why the DevOps came in, that is the whole purpose of understanding this Agile. Okay, let's come back. Let's understand Scrum. Now, Agile has some more important features like Agile is a principle. Okay, we have Scrum, Kanban, Lean, DSTM. These are some software development. In this, Scrum and Kanban is something I'll be using in my Azure DevOps when we start with work item management. I'll be using Scrum and Kanban over there. So Kanban is nothing but it's a board. We'll be giving you more update on Kanban when we start actually implementing, when we start doing practically, you will understand more. But Scrum and Agile is something you need to be very familiar. Now, what do I mean by that? All these methods has been derived from Agile. So Agile is based on 12 principles. These are the 12 principles, and all this other methodology what you see, that is also based on those principles. So what do I mean by this 12 principles? Definitely I'm not reading through these 12 principles right now. Let me give you an overview what exactly these 12 principles are all about. This 12 principle basically talks about customer first. So in waterfall model, what used to happen? In waterfall model, whenever there is a new requirement in between, we used to deny that no, we cannot accommodate the change. And even though if we add those changes, we are affecting the quality of the product. Now, agile principle, we are giving highest priority to the customer, accepting the changes what they are looking for, making sure we are implementing whatever recommendation has been given, making sure we are implementing all the feedback has been given. That is what this 12 principles talks about. Let me read out one or two. Our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of your valuable software. Welcoming changing requirement. If there's a change in requirement, we are welcoming that. That kind of principles we are talking about. So based on this 12 principle, all other methodology has been defined. All your methods, your Scrum, Kanban, everything is derived out of this 12 agile principles. Okay, I'll be sharing this documentation with you guys. Please go through this documentation, then you'll understand and read through it. So this is what agile is, guys. Again, agile is following the waterfall model. The only difference is it started doing things in iteration, and because of the iteration, a customer feedback loop has started. Because of the customer feedback loop, we started delivering quality products. That is what agile is for you. Now, out of this, before we start with Scrum, let's talk about how this DevOps came in picture. Okay. Now, if I ask you what is DevOps, many of you say is development and operation team collaborating together. Then people start talking about all sort of tools like Jenkins, Git, Azure DevOps, Bamboo. These are all DevOps tools. I'm not denying on that. These are not. This is part of DevOps, but tool is not DevOps. When we talk about Azure DevOps, that is not DevOps. DevOps is a mindset change. Collaboration comes second. The first thing is people. Now, why DevOps? Agile, Scrum, waterfall model, they are only talking about development. They only talk about software development. If I come back and I show you the loop again, planning, designing, testing, build, accept, deploy. What about operation? Yeah, agile, and in further in the course, I'll be talking about Scrum in details because Scrum is something we'll be working more frequently. So I'll be talking about Scrum in detail, but before that, whatever methodology I talked about, like Agile, Scrum, Lean, Kanban, they are just talking about development activity. What about your operation? Operation is not supported anywhere. No one is talking about operation. Now, at one hand, you're doing a development at a very faster rate. Like, take an example, you are deploying a .NET application. So you're building your modules at a very faster rate. In each 2 weeks or 3 weeks of iteration, you're building one module. What about your deployment? Do you have that infra ready? Is the operation team aware what exactly you have developed? Because after your deployment, you will be handing over to the operation team and they don't know anything about the application which you have created. So your left hand is ready with all your development, your right hand is not ready to support you. That was the major drawback in using this methodology, Agile and all your Scrum methodology. That was the major drawback. At one end, you're driving a Ferrari. On the other hand, you're giving a cycle to someone. So if you're creating your development, you're doing a development at a faster rate, you have to have your operation team run in parallel with you. You cannot run alone. Now let me give you an example, a very basic example. Now imagine you're deploying a .NET application in one of your server, a virtual machine. Let's take an example of a virtual machine. You gave the prerequisite to the operation team that this is the server which needs to be ready, and these are the prerequisite. Like for running a Java application, you will need Maven on it, you will need a JDK something, it's a specific version, you will need a Tomcat to be configured, your web server needs to be configured. All this requirement you have given to it. Now your developer has created the application, he has deployed the application locally, the application is working perfectly. Now based on the requirement, the operation team, they went ahead and created the VM manually. Now the VM is handed over to the development team. Now when the development team tried to deploy the application fails. I'm talking about the dev environment right now. Now there's a back and forth happening, there is a back and forth happening, each and everyone is complaining each other, no, the application is used to work on my local, how come it's not working on your remote, on your VM? Then in this back and forth, you have already wasted your precious 5-6 days. Now after that, somehow some smart guy come in and they set up the VM again and the deployment happened successfully. Okay, so your dev deployment is successfully deployed. Now you go back. Now there is a opportunity to deploy in QA. Now in QA also you're doing the same sort of thing. Just imagine the amount of time you're spending, you're wasting in between, just because you have your modules ready, but you don't have your infra ready, and you don't have your operation team ready to deploy those modules. Now at the end, when you're handing over to the operation team, again they are not aware what this application is. If there's any issue, even if it's a minor issue, okay, because of which the application has stopped, they have to reach out to the development team. The development team will again come back and they will show you this is how it needs to be done. Okay, that is what the practice used to be before DevOps. This I think most of the companies who are not following DevOps, they have the same practice till now. Okay, so these are a very old fashioned, using the very least old technology till, and they're using the same method which I just explained you. Okay, so this all issues gave rise to DevOps, guys. There was a major challenge. Though the development was happening at a higher speed, your operational work was totally ignored. That gave rise to DevOps. Now let's understand the definition of DevOps. Now DevOps is nothing but it's a cultural change. What did I say? DevOps, it's a cultural and very important, it's a mindset change. You need to accept in first that the development and operational team will be collaborating at every stage of development. Okay, So that is what DevOps is all about. So DevOps is a cultural collaboration between development, operation, and business team is considered a critical aspect of DevOps journey. Your business team has to support this. It's not that you can okay, tomorrow you have decided I want to sit with development team and I will start working with them and will understand what application. No, that is not how it works. Your business team, your management team has to support the change, and they have to force the developer and the operation team to work together and make sure you're developing a right and a quality product. It's not solely about the tools. So guys, if in an interview they talk about what exactly is DevOps, don't talk about tools at first. Tools are nothing but they are a pillar which will be supporting your DevOps journey. Now, if I talk about Azure DevOps is just a tool which will be supporting your DevOps journey, your target. It will help you to achieve your target in a right way. Okay. It's not solely about the tools, and DevOps is an organization that create continuous value for customer. So in DevOps, you start doing things regularly in continuous manner and you get the feedback continuously. Okay. Tools are only one of the pillars, the other being people and process. So people has to come forward in order to work together. One thing, their mindset needs to be changed. Second thing, the cultural behavior needs to be incorporated in them. Then then the right process needs to be set. Then your tools comes in picture, and tools will help you achieve all this. So without tools, you will not be able to achieve your DevOps. Like, let me give you an example of a tool, Git. What Git does, Git helps you to collaborate. It helps you to share your source code with other teammates. It enables you to share your source code among teams. That is what Git is doing. Git is helping you to collaborate with each other within your team. Same way, you have other tools in the market. Azure DevOps, to name one, is CI/CD, wherein it will help you to automate your entire deployment process, build and deployment process, wherein the build was happening with the only by the development team. Now your pipeline is automatically doing it. That is again one way of collaboration. Okay. Even DevOps used to follow the same principle like how Agile used to do, like insist of releasing large number of application feature. Even in DevOps we started doing small chunks. We started rolling out small chunks, and the continuous loop, the feedback loop again has started. It has several advantages. Using DevOps has several advantages: quality of software, quick feedback from the customer, and increase in deployment frequency. Okay, so DevOps is again is a principle, guys. DevOps is a set of methodology. It's a principle which will allow you to deploy your software more frequently and more without much failure. Okay, so the features are low failure rate, increased deployment frequency, quicker mean time to recovery, shortened lead time between fixes. So the previous issues which I talked about, wherein the development was happening at a faster rate, with DevOps, even the operation and development now both are in parallel. It gave rise to many tools, like suppose the infra creation issues which I talked about previously. Now with the infra as a code tool, we have the infra getting created prior the deployment is happening. Your script is creating the infra for you. Once the infra is created, the developer is able to deploy the application. And once that is tested, we can be 100% sure that the same will work in production also. So that kind of environment the DevOps has created. Okay. So this was all about how DevOps has started. DevOps is not new, guys. DevOps was tossed first in the year 2005 until now. DevOps nowadays, if you say any new development, any microservice development, anything getting deployed, they talk about DevOps. So DevOps is the hotcake in the market right now. Even though if you're not getting trained on Azure DevOps, that's totally fine. If you want to survive in this IT world now, okay, DevOps skill set is something which is very much required. Now let me tell you from the trend, okay, I forgot the name. GitHub has a yearly trend wherein they check which technology has the highest priority. So in the last year, okay, they have checked DevOps is the highest paid DevOps engineer role is the highest paid role right now. Even they get paid more than a developer nowadays. So if you are a skilled DevOps engineer, there's no stopping in this world. You can go and check on Google. There's a GitHub report. I'm just not recalling the name. I have uploaded this on my Instagram page. So I need to go and check. So DevOps, in which DevOps comes in third, in the third, wherein the DevOps engineers are earning more. This is because there are multiple skill set which a DevOps engineer needs to possess. It's not just one specific tool. If they learn, that is more than enough. They need to have expertise in DevOps. They need to have expertise in Git. They need to have expertise in so many other tools, Jira, Confluence, even cloud tools. Okay, so it's a big role which we're talking about. Okay, it's not just a developer that you're a .NET developer. You're just writing your codes in development in .NET and you know nothing about other things. Okay, in DevOps you have to be overall a all-rounder, I would say. Okay, so that is the reason if you are a skilled DevOps engineer, there's no slab for you. You can ask for whatever if you have that kind of experience. Okay, keeping that in mind, so DevOps, and let me give you a fair idea. Next 10 years DevOps will evolve. It's not going anywhere. If you think that DevOps will get obsolete sooner or later, some tools will come and override DevOps. No, DevOps engineer role is not going anywhere. Next 5-10 years to be very sure. But the only thing is you have to keep upgrading yourself. You cannot just say, yeah, I've learned Azure DevOps, that is more than enough. No. In Azure, in DevOps world, each week there's a new tool which is getting introduced in the market. You have to have that kind of experience. You have to keep learning. Call yourself a doctor. Learning never stops. Even for a DevOps engineer, there are so many tools, so many things in the market that you have to keep learning if you want to grow and if you want to upgrade your life. As simple as that. Okay, keeping that in mind, that was about Agile, that was about DevOps, how the DevOps journey has started. Now we'll talk about Scrum a bit. Then we talk about why exactly Scrum. This is something you'll definitely come across. Scrum is basically used for small scale project or a mid scale project, and if it's a large scale project, definitely Agile. Why do I say this? Scrum is basically the minimum iteration you can have in Scrum is 1 week, the maximum is 4 weeks, wherein Agile the minimum is 2 weeks, the maximum is 8 weeks. So Agile, you will definitely be using Agile if you want a bigger iteration. So you'll be using Agile in that manner. But if you have a smaller iteration, and even we use Scrum for smaller project, mid-scale project, or if we are doing some kind of support related activity, and if you have a timeline given to your team that within this timeline you have to complete the task, so basically we'll be using Scrum at that point of time. Again, Scrum is one of the most popular and widely used framework. So Scrum is derived out from Agile, as I said earlier. So it's one of the most popular and widely used Agile framework right now. So in most of the small scale and mid scale project, you will find someone or other one is using Scrum project. You will have Scrum Master. Who is the Scrum Master? We'll talk about that in a bit. But for now, Scrum is the most popular framework right now. Remember that, okay? Within the Scrum, there are two primary roles, the Scrum Master, the Product Owner. I'll call it as 3 primary roles over here, guys. The first is Scrum Master, Product Owner, and Scrum Team. Scrum Team consists of all the developers. It will consist of DevOps engineers. It will consist of testers. It may even consist of few operation guys. So it's a big team which I'm talking about. Now, what exactly is Scrum? Scrum is again a software development methodology which is completely based on the agile 12 principles which we spoke about in a bit. Okay, now talking about Scrum Master. Who is a Scrum Master? Does anyone has worked in as a DevOps engineer or in a project wherein they are using Scrum? Can you share the feedback? Can someone say what exactly they do? Anyone working as a DevOps engineer or working in some project wherein they are using Scrum? No one? Okay, guys, no problem. Let me explain you what is the role of a Scrum Master. A Scrum Master is a gatekeeper, guys. I talked about the 12 principles, Agile 12 principles. The role of a Scrum Master is to make sure the team is following the Agile principle. The Scrum Master role is to create the backlogs for you. What do I mean by backlogs? I'll talk about the backlogs when we start the work item thing, work item practical. The backlog for now, the application what you're creating, the application gets divided into multiple modules. Those modules are created as a backlog in your work item management tool. Okay, what exactly a work item management tool? This is something we'll talk about when we start doing the practical stuff. Okay, so that is what a primary role of a Scrum Master. Scrum Master is a gatekeeper, and he makes sure that he or she makes sure that the person, the team, everyone is following the agile principle. He is the one who creates all the backlog. He is the one he he keeps track of all the iteration which is going on right now. He makes sure that the work is completed on time. Now let me ask you one question. Do you think a Scrum Master needs to be a subject matter expert? When I say subject matter expert, do you think the Scrum Master needs to be a technically advanced person? Any reason? Can you tell me why? Why a Scrum Master doesn't need to be a subject matter expert? Perfect. Yes. So Scrum Master is not collaborating with the client. The Scrum Master is not collaborating. He's not gauging the requirement. He's not doing anything as such. So a Scrum Master not necessary needs to be a subject matter expert. Okay. So a Scrum Master could be anyone from a non-technical background also who has done a Scrum Master certification, and he can be a part of a Scrum team. Okay. So it's not required, it's not 100% required that Scrum Master needs to be a subject matter expert. Okay. So in future, when you get tired with IT technical thing, you can look for Scrum Master role. Okay. Never do that, guys. It's just a joke. Okay. Scrum Master is the coach and the gatekeeper. The Scrum Master establishes responsibility for following the Agile framework, providing guidance, education to your Scrum team, and removing impediments and distraction that keeps the team from doing work. Okay. When I say impediments, if there's any issue, any concerns, the team will reach out to the Scrum Master. It's a Scrum Master responsibility to get the right resource for them, right resource for the team. So even though Scrum Master is a very important person in your team, he is not technically advanced. If you are part of that team, you cannot reach out to Scrum Master for any technical help. Let me tell you. But you can tell the Scrum Master, this is the issue which I'm facing, that the Scrum Master can get you those help. What a Scrum Master can do, it can go and it can reach out to some team, it can reach out to some other subject matter expert in other project, and he can get you that help. That is what a Scrum Master can do. Okay. There's one more very important person over here called product owner. When I say product owner, this guy, now tell me, should this guy be a subject matter expert? Yes or no? And why? Anyone? Does a product owner needs to be a subject matter expert? Mandate. Yes, a subject matter needs to be a subject matter expert. Sorry, a product owner needs to be a subject matter expert, not just an expert. He needs to have experience of handling team. He needs to have experience of at least one or two projects prior. At least he should have supported some project, and at least he should know what exactly he's doing. Because he, in a funnel, when I say funnel, at the top, when you pour a liquid, at the top, whatever you pour, that comes out as output. So the product owner behave as a funnel. He is the person who will be interacting with the client more frequently. He is the person who will be getting the requirement for you. He is the person who will be deciding which tools we'll be using. He will be the person who will be uh, preparing the estimate, and he will be the person who will be interacting with all the stakeholders. And if this person himself doesn't know anything, like if he's not technically sound, and if he's not able to take that requirement more wisely, just imagine what application you will be creating in future. Because so a product owner by any means needs to be a subject matter expert. He needs to have experience in handling projects. Okay, so this is very important. Who becomes who becomes a product owner, guys? A person who is already part of multiple project, who can, not necessarily that he has to be a developer, but if he is a past developer, it's an added advantage because he may understand the thing very well. Firstly, he needs to be a solution architect. He has a great experience of designing the application, designing the infra, and thirdly, he needs to work on multiple projects. Already worked on multiple projects. He can be a product owner because he will be leading the entire project. Okay, based on his suggestion, based on his experience, your project may succeed or your project may fail. Because being a developer, you'll not be reaching out to the client. The product owner will tell you this is what we need to create, this is what the application is, this is what the requirement is. In some cases, your product owner may ask you to reach out to client for some doubt solving and such thing. But the first person who will be interacting with the client will be the product owner. Okay, so a product owner of your Scrum team is the first and the foremost subject matter expert for the given project. The product owner keeps track of the project stakeholders' expectation and gathers the required tools and the resources that Scrum team needs. In addition, the product owner communicates the vision to the team to help set priorities. Okay, so all the tools, which tools you will be using, whether you'll be using Azure DevOps, will be using Jenkins or everything, all this will be, whether you'll be using a Java in the backend, AngularJS in the front end, all this will be decided by product owner. Okay, but even though he needs to see what exactly he have, what kind of skill set he has. If he's telling that we'll be using AngularJS and he doesn't have any AngularJS developer in his team, he needs to go and hire that. Okay, this is how the team works. This is how they start hiring people. Now over here they will think that no, we'll be using Azure DevOps and we'll be deploying on Azure Cloud. Now this is the right time. They will start hiring DevOps engineers. They will have someone with Azure DevOps skill sets. Okay, or they will, or the product owner will check with his team. He will take feedback from the team members, like this is what we need to build, what is the right way of building, what is the right tool we can use it over here. Now the team can give the feedback, they can give their opinion, they can give the suggestion. Now it's up to the product owner whether he's taking the suggestion or not. Okay, it's totally the last decision, last call will be of us product owner itself. Okay, so as I said, product owner is a very important, very vital person in the team. This is how the Scrum team will look like, guys. As I said, if you see the middle, we have the Scrum Master, we have the product owner, we have the dev team. The Scrum Master is interacting with the business owner. Business owner, when I say business owner, I'm talking about your internal business owners like your CEO, your CTOs, your VPs and all I'm talking about. So your Scrum Master is interacting with the business owner, your product owner is also interacting with the business owner, but the stakeholders, when I'm talking about the clients, only the product owner is interacting with the clients. Okay, and the dev team is part of the team, the Scrum team itself. they are not interacting with anyone. The dev team is not interacting with anyone. Okay, when you come at the left hand side, the Scrum Master is reaching out to SMEs. These are the SMEs from a different project. So they already have some kind of experience in deploying things, in executing things. So your Scrum Master is reaching out to them, and even your dev team is reaching out to them in case of any additional help required. So this is how now in a collaboration the team works. When I say dev team, this is not just developers, guys. This is the dev team will include DevOps engineers also. So when you work as a DevOps engineer, you're part of development. Your title should be development. You're not support. Any which ways, if you're just doing a support role, that you're just editing the pipeline based on the feedback you're receiving from developer, you're just making minor changes and minute changes. So that is the project which you need to leave as soon as possible. A dev team consists of DevOps engineers, testers, developers, and if needed, someone from operation team as well. Okay. So this is what a Scrum team will look like. Now tomorrow we'll talk about typical Scrum flow. After understanding this, we'll understand bit of Lean, not much, and Kanban. Then we'll actually start with DevOps lifecycle, where DevOps starts and where the Agile Scrum stops and where DevOps starts. That is something we'll talk about. So I think maybe tomorrow one more day we'll have a theory, and post that we'll start creating projects on Azure DevOps and we'll start with the practical stuff. Okay, someone has joined late. So guys, please sign into this link dev.azure.com, and there is a link form link which I have shared in the chat. Make sure you fill in this form. This is very much required to gain access to Azure Pipelines agent pool. So this is very much required. Okay. Sign in. This is the sign in for Azure DevOps, and this is the link for. Please fill in this form and make sure we have everything ready beforehand. Okay. And for all the newbies who have not registered yet, please register yourself. This is my details. Please register yourself. If you have any questions, any query, reach out to me and click on this link to register yourself for this course. This is my email ID and this is my direct contact. If anyone has any questions, please reach out to me. Okay, that's it for today's session. Tomorrow we'll continue with Azure DevOps. If anyone has any question, any query, please tell me now. No, any location would be okay. There's nothing, no specification with location. Any location will be totally fine. Anyone? Yeah. Okay. Very good question. So on Azure DevOps, guys, there's no charges. Okay. There's no charges for the pipelines. The agent pool, what you run, you get 1800 minutes free. And let me tell you, 1800 minutes is more than enough for learning this Azure DevOps course. And after that, practically doing things. So 1800 minutes is more than enough. And we get storage, 2 GB storage, which is more than sufficient for storing our artifacts. Okay. So basically in Azure DevOps, you're not paying anything. So it's completely free for your testing and development. So in Azure DevOps, you will not be paying anything, and you will not be even putting your credit card information over here, guys. So no worries. The only place you have to put your credit card information is on Azure portal, Azure cloud, in which you get 30 days free tier, and there is a credit which they assign, initial credit, free tier credit, what they assign. So this is more than, if you are signing in for the very first time, so this is more than enough. The credit which we get, this is more than enough. Or else if you have created a subscription as pay as you go, so at that point of time we are just using free tier servers, guys. Even though If you don't have a free credit, I'll be using free tier servers, which will not cost you anything. Hardly 50 to 100 Indian rupees, not even dollars or pound. 50 to 100 Indian rupee, that is around $1, you will get charged by end of this course. So that kind of because whenever I deploy something, I make sure I delete it at the same time, and I'll show you how do we automate the deletion process also. That is the practice I keep it, and I want you guys, when you practice, make sure you have the same kind of strategy for yourself also, so that you don't get charged unnecessary. Okay, so this is again a prerequisite. I'll talk about this prerequisite later in this course, but for now, signing to Azure DevOps is very much required. And I'll be sharing you again a new link for tomorrow's session. Make sure you sign in to register yourself with this link, and if you have any doubt, reach out to me. And that's it from me. If anyone has any question, any doubt, and I'll be sharing you the drive access, wherein in the drive you'll have all this documentation and everything in place, which you can refer. If anyone has any doubt, any question, do let me know before we wind up the call for today. Anyone? No doubt? Okay. Thank you everyone. Goodbye. Take care.